Hey kids! Today I want to tell you a little bit about the group of missionaries that I serve with. The mission is called Ethnos 360. Ethnos is the word for nations or people groups, and 360 is for 360 degrees around the world. So together, Ethnos 360 is wanting to plant a thriving church among every people group in the world. Now I'm going to show you a short video to tell you more about our ministry with Ethnos 360.
The heartbeat of Ethnos 360 is a thriving church for every people. Ethnos 360 equips its members to reach and disciple unreached people groups wherever they are found. Of the 7.4 billion people of the world, 3.1 billion are unreached. As our founder Paul Fleming said in 1942, our efforts shall be directed where no witness of the gospel has yet reached. That still drives Ethnos 360 today. And when we go wherever God sends us, what happens? Relationships are formed, cultures and languages are learned, Bibles are translated, lives are transformed, churches are established. But that is a task of monumental proportions. Accomplishing this huge job efficiently and well takes a network of people each doing their part. Ethnos 360 needs each missionary to make the network function. God's plan from the beginning is for different people with different gifts and abilities to work together in different roles and capacities towards His common goals. The aviation team speeds the spread of the gospel by taking hours, days, and even weeks off normal travel, allowing the missionary to spend more time in his ministry locale. God's plan is for all of us to work together, each fulfilling the part in the network to which He has directed us and uniquely qualified us in order to bring others to Him. Thank you for being part of the team. Thank you for partnering to see a thriving church for every people.
One of the hardest but most important parts of planning a strong church is to clearly communicate what the Bible teaches. First, you have to learn their language. Maybe no one has ever learned their language, so there's no one there to help you. And they're going to have a different alphabet than you. Or probably, they're not going to have any alphabet at all, and you're going to have to be the one that makes it for them. They're going to have sounds in their language that you've never heard before, and you didn't even know your mouth could make. Then, after you learn the language, if you just decide to explain things through your American culture, they won't understand. You might say, then Jesus' answer really hit the nail on the head. Of course you mean that Jesus gave the perfect answer. But they're not used to that saying, and they're going to be wondering, how did Jesus' answer turn into a hammer? And where did a nail come from? Or you might say, when God created the world, it wasn't hard for Him. Because He's all-powerful, it was a piece of cake. Now, of course, you mean that it was very easy for God to create the world. But they're going to be thinking that you think God turned the world into a piece of cake. Things are easy for you to understand like this because they're from the culture and language you grew up in. But when someone talks to you in a different language, it's hard to understand them. Or even if they talk to you in English, but through their culture, you still might not understand them. For example, do you know what I mean if I say, not seeing is a flower? No? Well, if I said that to someone who was Japanese, they would know that I meant that imagination is better than reality. Or what if I said, ocean thousand, mountain thousand? Do you see how hard it can be to tell people about what the Bible says if you don't take the time to learn their culture first? It's just confusing. And it's not just important what you say, but also how you act. In our American culture, when you see someone you know, you might wave at them and say hi. But in other cultures, to wave at someone is really rude and you will get them mad at you. Or how about a race? Have you ever raced your friends to see who's the fastest? In our culture, it's a great thing to be the best and to win. But in other cultures, everyone is seen as a team and a community, and they don't really like to compete against each other. But if they did do a race, and you were the fastest, so you ran your best and you beat everybody by a lot, everyone would be upset with you and say how rude and divisive you were. They would say, it's okay to win the race, but you should not have finished so far ahead of everyone else. It made them look so bad. In our culture, is it better to be early or late going to something? You probably said it's better to be early. But in other cultures, the most important person shows up last. So if you're the honored guest as the missionary, and you show up early or on time even, and people come after you, they will be so embarrassed that they came after you. The way you naturally act and think is hard to notice and very hard to change. But it's important for the missionary to diligently study that new language and culture before teaching the Bible so that they don't accidentally and unknowingly communicate the wrong thing. This is such an important message, we can't afford to mess it up. And with Ethnos 360, we want to take the time to clearly communicate the gospel and stay to disciple the new believers so that we can see a thriving church among every people group. All right, that's it for today. And remember, God can use anyone who loves him and wants to obey him. And that includes you.